Okay, 1 second. Now, on that link, there should be a live video.
Try refreshing it, Dan. Yep.
Okay, you can see
where
that?
it says live now.
Okay.
Yep.
Click.
Now, is everyone there, or are we waiting for Steve?
Steve's not in yet.
Okay, do you want to wait a couple minutes?
Dan, if you could make that larger. Nope. Nope.
All set? Or are we waiting for Steve? Still not sure what we're doing.
Hold on 1
Okay.
second.
You take your time, take your time.
Jacob,
Mhm.
Dan accidentally clicked out of the browser after going to the live video, and now I don't see it listed here. So
If you
I
hit
don't know if you have to react.
if you hit Control Shift T, that should bring it back. On typical Windows, that's how you can quickly pull stuff up like that.
Okay. Okay, just go ahead, Jacob.
Did it load?
Yep.
Okay, so it's back in.
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. So Dan, have you used the Bay-masteR program before?
Not really.
Okay. So I'm going to do a full rundown of the program, and then if you have any questions, just stop me at a certain point, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So you can see here where we have the base estimator program. Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see this screen, though, where I'm currently highlighting stuff?
Right.
Okay, perfect. So this is the Bay-masteR front desk. This is what you'll see every time you open the program for Bay-masteR albums. We can go in here. This is where all your scheduled invoices would be. We also have a full scheduler where you can drag and drop individuals' bays and assign technicians this way. We can go back. And here we have the various statuses for everything estimate, approved, delivered, finished, waiting to be paid for, already paid out, or payment due, so the vehicle's left but that customer owes you money. On this tab you're able to generate reports on how long they've been there and like aged analyses. Starting a
So would
ticket.
that give the lifetime value of the customer?
What?
You just where they're at?
No, this is for
So-
this is just on who owes
Excellent.
money. So this is the payment due
Okay.
tab. So like here we have here it's like who has an outstanding invoice with you.
Okay.
You can get customer reports which give you like what customers have spent over this much money if that's something you're looking
And
for.
where would I get? Yeah, where would I get that?
That would be under the customer reporting section. Which is customer reporting. And here you can generate all kinds of reports based on the customer or vehicles this way, and you can base those, like I was saying, if any customer who spent over this much, or any customer who spent over this much last year, this year, etc.
Okay.
But so going back to here, making a ticket, Dan, we'll just hit this create ticket button.
Okay.
And here we can look up a name, say Kathy Drake, for example. We can look her up. Now if we didn't have her, we could at that point hit new customer, which would bring up the same screen as this. Which here you can see, you would put in all that customer information you have.
You were not there. I can't see what you're doing. Okay.
What do you mean?
You weren't on the screen where you can do the data entry.
Well, no, I'm saying this. You would type. This is what would come up, and you would just type this in. So like you would type in like Drake, Kathy Drake, the address, etc.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'd hit from up here. Say you wanted to hit the add vehicle. I'm going to edit an existing one, but I'll show you. That would bring you to this field, where you'd put in that vehicle information here. You could go and you could either decode the plate or the VIN, or you could manually select the vehicle via that select vehicle, and you can select the vehicle from these drop downs here, which you can type in.
We're not. We're behind you or something. I'm not seeing anything what you just said on that customer screen.
Where you can see these drop downs.
Okay, now I see it. But we weren't just there. We were on just the customer data entry part. Okay, now I'm seeing it.
1 second.
Okay. If you put in the VIN, does it automatically bring up your make and model?
Correct. And same for plate if you're using Carfax.
Okay.
And you can also type in the vehicle group for what its services are due over certain periods of time, as well as any printing notes, which you want to print for the customer, and any internal notes, which you want to document, but you don't want to print on the invoices when you print it for the customer.
That's kind of cool, like if they got like a broken windshield or something like that, you know? So they can't say, well, it happened here, you know?
Yeah. And you can also see what, if you were putting in, what their last tire tread depth, PSI, and pad was.
Yeah, it's definitely lagging.
Yeah, we're like about a few seconds, I think.
Okay, I'll go slower. So when we hit this add ticket button up here, this will create the ticket. Tell me when that goes through on your end.
Okay, because you're like ahead of it. I'm like looking at the screen like, where's he at?
Okay, so you're on the you can see the estimate summary screen though?
No.
Because I have the stream open on my end. I can see the estimate summary screen.
Now we're
Now
just
it's
getting.
loading,
Now
yeah.
it's just loading to add ticket.
I have the stream open on my end. I can see the estimate summary. Try refreshing that. Try refreshing that
Now it's
link.
just loading to add ticket.
Try refreshing that. Try refreshing
Okay, no,
that.
it's kind of hard to follow. Have a page ahead of us.
Yeah, try
Like a
refreshing
hard
that.
refresh or
Just refresh the page. Just hit F5. Yeah, try
like a
refreshing
hard.
that. F5. Did you do it?
Hold on, Jacob.
You hit F5.
Yes.
Okay. So here we have the estimate summary screen. You hit F5. And from here, we'll go into the inspections on the top right.
Now nothing's happening.
What do you mean?
Okay. It's still lagging. It's just now going to the inspection summary.
Yeah,
Did you click on it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Now it just pulled it up.
I'm going a little slower due to the delay. Do you happen to know what your network speeds are there? Your internet speeds are there?
Today it seems slower. When I was running reports this morning.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay, just curious. I'd
It seems slow.
love to document it, make sure I'm aware next time. 1 second. Okay, so from the inspection screen, we're going to go here and click on brakes. And we're going to go up here and hit save. And now from here, we're going to have access to the, we'll see where we have all the inspection lines we've generated. And this is a generic inspection. However, you're fully able as well to create your own customizable inspections to meet your shop's needs. So we're going to go here, and we're going to mark everything as passed. And then once everything's marked as passed, we can go in and say maybe the front brake hardware, maybe the cable is rusted through. And maybe the rear pads are below 4 millimeters. And we can put vehicle would not pass inspection. Then we can save this to the invoice. And when you try to print it,
Hold on. Okay.
it'll show you right on the invoice alongside those repairs. And with albums, especially if they use the motor, a really good thing is being able to create the job right away alongside the invoices. So you can, using motor, pull in the labor times almost instantly. So I'll go here, and we're going to go to catalogs. Oops. So going over here to not brakes and specs. We're going to go over here to parts and labor, and then we're going to go to bless you. We can search for the parking brake cable that we were saying is rusted through. We can add that labor along with the part to the invoice. You can see the labor appears down below. And as we click on that, it's going to pull up the part above it. So we'll save those. And then maybe we'll look up like brake pad. And the same thing, as we type it in, it'll appear on the bottom. And as we click on it on the bottom, it's going to appear it on the top.
Where
And
do
then
you
we
get all
can
these part prices at?
Those are the OEM part pricing. The OEM part pricing will come from factory standard. If you use an aftermarket vendor, such as like Auto Value, Advanced, Napa, or not Napa, but any of the ones that go through SpeedyCat, it'll replace the parts with that vendor right away. So the vendor will know to pull directly from the OEM part and what part works in place of that, and it will be the proper part for the vehicle, but it will replace it usually with a cheaper price due to OEM and aftermarket.
Right.
And same for the labor. These are all OEM labor, so this is factory standard what they recommend. For example, if you look on the bottom, the parking brake cable, they're saying an hour to replace that, and the parking brake pads maybe for that one axle 0.8.
That's cheap.
Then we go to ticket. And we can go in here. Now when we preview it, which will pull up in a second. Now under that preview, you can see directly under that inspection, we have the amount of the job. So the customer will see the invoice and say, hey, you really should get these 2 parts replaced, and yada yada yada. And then underneath it for labor, you can say right alongside that, this is how much we think, this is how much this job will cost if you go ahead with what we're saying in this inspection. Mind you, it's a little cheap because we have our shop set to $65 an hour, but it'll use your shop's numbers and prices.
Most shops are at least 100 around here.
Yeah, it varies nationally, I find. Like people in Ohio charge very little labor, whereas people in Jersey charge really high, and same for California. It varies. I find 65 like a good national average. Not that that's too high for some people and too low for some, but that's averages for you.
So how often are these parts pricing updated?
Well, that's the OEM pricing, so that's kept up to date constantly. But that's the OEM pricing for the parts. And you're able to change that pricing too once it's saved. And again, you can use your vendors, wherein your vendors will automatically use their pricing, or you can use your margin based on their cost. So if they say it should cost 40, but you use a slightly higher margin or a different scale, that'll charge more that way.
Now, you can program all that in the system, right?
Correct.
Where do you do your setup for that?
That's under the admin screen. I'll show you that next. I just want to go over this real quick. So with the program, what's loading now, you can have it automatically populate oil filter, air filter, and fuel filters, or any other part you need to come up with jobs. And if you have a vendor, that will look in that vendor for that phrase for this vehicle. So it could bring up the exact oil filter, air filter, or fuel filter you need. And then for example here, under oil, you can see on the bottom left, it shows 6.02 quarts. And that's saying that's how much the manufacturer recommends is in that oil, So you can see kind of here, it's saying use 6.02 quarts of 5W20, and it has 5W20 highlighted. So we're going to click on 5W20 on the right, and it will ask us to round up, round down, or charge actual. So we're just going to charge actual.
I didn't even see where he was at, did you?
Yeah. So,
It's that drop down. It shows you point.
To the right.
Well, the right's the
To the
inventory.
right, you click on the part.
Correct. And then when you click on the part, that drop down that came up, that's what shows you 6.02, 6 or 7 quarts, for example, for this car, and it will charge additional above the 5 quarts. So because our oil change quote is only set to 5 quarts, that additional 1.02 quarts, that'll be billed on top of that, outside of the quote. And same for the oil and air filter. You can have a max quantity or a max price on those. So if the oil filter is more than the standard price for your included in your quote, you can charge upcharge after that as well. Does that make sense?
I guess so. Seems like a lot of overkill.
Well, I mean, it makes it easier because that way you don't have to worry about being undercharged for a repair. For example, like certain cars take like 7 quarts of oil, or even one of the old Cadillacs took like 8.8.
I know all that. I've been a shop for 30 years.
Yeah, so I'm saying like having a program that automatically says, hey, we're going to upcharge the additional.
4 steps, just do a lube on filter. It's where you got to do 4 things. Log out, oil change. It just seems like, I don't know.
Well, no, it's not 4 things. It's saying, I mean,
Yeah, we used to have batch jobs.
mhm.
You got a 5 quart, 6 quart, 7 quart oil change. You just click on that.
And you can have your job set that way,
Right
and you
on.
can include your different, and then you can include that. But if for some reason someone selects like a 6 quart for a 5 quart, or a 5 quart for a 6 quart vehicle, the program will know we need to charge an additional quart. It's that way it makes sure you don't have any mistakes there.
Fail safe,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. You can have
You
as
can
many
build
oil
out-
change jobs as you want with however many pricings
That's
or
what
names you
I'm
need.
so used to. There's like so many steps just
Or
to
is
do an oil
it-
change.
It's just-
Right.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's just a fail safe, that's all it is.
okay.
Yeah. And if you
Okay, well,
wanted to, you could make a job without it where it would just be, like you said, for the batch jobs. But it would be a little,
Yeah.
you'd never know.
That's
And you
how
could
we
set
did
it that way.
It's different types of oil changes, and that was it.
Mhm.
Well, actually, it got up to 5 for full synthetic and then semi-synthetic.
Mhm. Yeah, I would recommend always keeping your synthetics and like bulk oil jobs separate just to make extra certain.
Mm-hmm, 'cause it's way more money.
Yeah. So that's, we can go in there, and you have other jobs as well. But when you print that, that'll show the total and everything under those jobs, so that you can hand that to the customer, and the customer sees it right away. And you can see on there we have all the pricing for each of the individual jobs separated, as well as the inspection we made, any discounts or surcharges on the invoice, and then we even have like the total on the bottom. So you can see how much that would charge, and you just hand that to the customer, have that customer sign off. And you're also able to text this to the customer beforehand if you need an approval. From Michigan, you do need that state of approval, I believe. So if you text them, like hit accept for approval, they'll see the totals and they reply accept. That'll count for that.
Okay. Now, where do you send it to them from?
What do you mean, like through the text?
You send it right from this program or no?
Yes. So you'd go here.
So there's email and-
Oh,
You
okay.
can, on the bottom right, there's those fields, and then you would just go in and you can send either an email or a text to the customer. I would recommend texting over emailing because the program keeps logs of replies to the text, whereas the emails, any replies, would just be handled by your email carrier. No, were you having questions on the administration side?
Yeah, I'd just like to see it. I've never seen it before. How you would set up, you know, your labor rates, your per price markup.
Okay, so the margins, we use a sliding scale margin, and you can see that under that column under setup for margins matrix. Down here, we have a sliding scale margin with different breakpoints. So you can mark up, say, $1 item a lot more than you can mark up, like, say, an $8 item.
Okay, yeah.
And you can see where parts would fall in there. and you could even use a test program up on top to see. And you could change any of those breakpoints for how much the cost that breakpoint should be at, how much the retail should be, and the program will automatically calculate the margin there. So it'll kind of do that work for you, so you can always be sure you're charging as much as you can for your parts without losing customers there.
Right.
Then down here, you can go to admin. And then we're going to go to info number 2. And then we have labor setup on the bottom right. And that labor setup is where you can set up the most used flat rate. So that would be your default labor rate. That make sense?
Midway down the left-hand side where it says labor setup.
Oh, okay, got it, right there.
And you'd put that information in there if you wanted to change it. And you also can have custom rates set up for jobs or technicians if you need to as well. So when you use that job or you use that technician, it'll be different, and you can put that in. Any other questions on the administration side? Okay. Any questions specifically you want on the program? Because like I said, this is just the brief rundown of the program. We have like how to do that. We also have for example, those digital inspections. If you're using a tablet, you can use those as well. And we're also working on automated marketing, where you'll be able to have the program send out reminder text, reminder emails, and that's something they're currently in development that should be ready soon.
Yeah, 'cause I thought actually this phone call was going to be more about the tablet and the inspections.
Well, the inspections, that's what I was showing you before, and that's what's really useful for being able to upsell customers, especially this whole program works and will size to whatever device you're on. So for example, you're on a tablet, you're able to go in and create those digital inspections that I was showing you and customize those. And then you're able to make whatever you need there, pull it on the tablet, and even send those in an email to a customer. And those work fully there. And I'd recommend
So
that.
stores would have to create those inspections on their time and on their system specifically for what they're looking for?
Say that again?
Are those inspections already made, or does a store owner have to go in and create an inspection that they want specifically?
So if we have the 4 we're showing here on the left, we have those already generated. However, the store can create with their own if they have a different one they're looking for as well. So we have the 4 here that are generic, and you can kind of use those as a baseline. But if the shop wanted to make customizable ones for their shop specifically, they'd be able to.
Pretty general right there. They're a lot more elaborate nowadays than that.
That's what I'm saying. If you wanted more specific ones, you'd be able to create whichever ones you'd need for, like, you wanted like a full 32, or you just wanted like a base electrical, you wanted one that's just like suspension ride height. You could go in and make whichever ones you need.
That's what you just said, we have to go in and make it ourselves.
Well, no, I'm saying, so we have those there, and we can help you make any that you're looking for if there's something different. But usually we find brakes are a really good one to upsell that labor information. And with you guys being Auto Lab, if there's ones you wanted corporate-wide.
Drivability issues that's the tough one to do.
Yeah, we have that under ours 33. So when you go into the 33 point, we have that one under here. We have all kinds of.
Okay.
We have like a test drive,
Okay.
the HVAC. weave all that
Okay,
into like
got
one
it.
global one.
Yeah.
I'll pull that up on an
Will you
invoice.
click
real
on
quick.
that one?
Yeah, I'm
Got
gonna
it?
pull up an invoice real quick. So there you can kind of have it break down that way. And you could have these as individual inspections if that's something you wanted as well.
Yeah, we have our own inspection sheets. This is one way to do it. At our stores, we have our own inspection sheets as well that they use.
And you can
It's
toggle
basically
those
the
on,
same.
yeah, and you can check those off on tablets as well. It's just very useful to use the tablets there just to be able to quickly, while working on it, just check those off. And send those in either a text or an email to a customer to say, hey, this is what's failing, this is what you need. What specifically were you questioning about, like different ways for marketing, Dan?
No, it wasn't necessarily the marketing. I'd spoken, I believe it was with Art, and this was gonna be about how they were gonna roll out the tablets and the training for that. And we were gonna try to get a couple of our actual shop owners up in here today to see what the tablets, the services for that we're gonna provide. Because a lot of them use different services, All Data, Mitchell, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the tablets, like I
Wasn't
said, you
necessarily
can use a
marketing.
tablet fully through the program. It has full tablet support. So the same you're running it now, it would run the same.
Okay.
So just like everything I'm showing you today, that works fully on tablets as well. And just being able to check those inspections off on a tablet itself is very useful. What specific
There was
differences?
mention that the ability to take pictures with the inspection.
Right.
Was
And-
that mentioned?
Yeah. Again, going along with the tablet,
Mhm.
like Catherine just said, it was taking pictures so that if we were doing the inspection, the techs, the owner would be able to go there and actually show the vehicle owner, well, this is what we found. This is, you can take a, without having to actually get underneath the car themselves.
Yeah.
They'd be able to take pictures so they go back and sell, to help sell the job.
Yeah.
Say, this needs to be done.
And that's where you have that images button. And we're able to go in here and you can add images. And if you're on a tablet, you can just, that choose file button will be replaced with just a little camera. And you would just attach that image that way. And then you can show the customer that physically, or you could even go in and have them set up that way so they can see it. And you can text it to them or email them.
No, this, from where I sit, I know we've talked internally here on the feature of being able to text and email appointment reminders. What's the timeline on that?
That's something that's being worked on. It should be ready soon. I don't have an exact ETA on that though. That's something you'd have to talk to Art about.
What about daily reporting from our stores for us?
That's a Joe project, that's not Jacob.
Oh,
And I mean, in the meantime, you are always able to sign in as them using their you can sign in using the end of day, and you can get any of the reports that way.
Okay. Well, is there supposed to be more to this, Dan?
I thought. So,
What specific? Well, I mean, that's.
I thought it was actually,
Hmm?
I thought, again, the conversation I had with Art, that this was gonna be more kind of a lead-in as we were gonna try to decide which one of our owners we were gonna have possibly attend a similar meeting to what we're doing right here, right now, before we decide if we we're gonna roll this out to all the franchises. And because there's gonna be additional costs with that, we wanna make sure that we had all the information before we share that. We wanted some of our top owners to come in and go through kind of a training session themselves, and kind of be our test case before we rolled it out to all the franchises.
Well, I mean, like I said, the tablets, anything you're using right now with the Bay-masteR program will work fully with these tablets with this. I mean, there's not much differences
Right.
with the tablets. It just has full tablet support, and it adds benefits of being able to take pictures and quickly go through those digital inspections on it.
And I guess that's what I thought this was gonna be more, this
More-
meeting was gonna be more geared towards showing us, demonstrating, showing us examples of how that's done.
The only difference is adding the images and the inspection.
Right.
Which can't really demonstrate that on,
Yeah.
on a desktop, but with this being web-based, as you said, that it formats itself to fit on the tablet, to where the tech is basically writing the ticket up in the back of the shop, versus at the
Write it down
front,
on paper, then take it up
at
front.
the front,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So if John Smith is doing the inspection in the back and says, okay, I'm done, service writer can go in and look at the ticket at the front,
Right.
you know, a workflow thing, and then adding images. I mean, that, unless I'm missing the point, that's
think
kind
you're-
of what I'm concluding from this call.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is this feature live on the platform already?
Correct.
Okay, so it's just a matter of figuring out a way to communicate with stores that this is there, this is a tool for them to use, and you can use it today if you wanted to, if you had a tablet. That's what we need to work together on, getting out to our stores, basically.
Hmm.
So, Dan, I guess what we need to do is get screenshots of the new areas of the new features and try to build some sort of quick rundown of it to communicate it to stores. Because if this is live, all they need is a tablet, log in, and they're good to go. And from what I've heard, you don't need an expensive tablet to do this. And I think Mount Pleasant is already kind of doing this whole process anyways, from what I've overheard from Steve. I could be wrong on the game of telephone and that communication, but if this is already there, I mean, that's all we really need to do. All right, now it all makes sense to me.
Okay.
So if somebody had, if somebody had an image, the only thing I'm not sure of, which I know we can't really demonstrate, well, maybe we can demonstrate it, where does the image show up on the invoice, or is it like a separate sheet that, with like a caption
It would be a
saying,
separate
"This is
sheet
your,"
with a caption.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought. Okay. All right, so I guess I'd like to have, for when we try to communicate this with stores, would have to have like an example invoice with some inspection stuff on it, a general work order, and then a sample of the images with the captions on it, so we can show them, hey, if you do these steps, this is what you can generate, and this is what you can send to your customers.
Right.
The more visual, the better for these guys.
Yeah, make it simple.
You know, we can walk them through how to do it, but if they need to see how it's going to lay out when they print or text or email or whatever they decide to do with it.
And also something they can share with their technicians,
Mhm.
so they can say, this is what.
Well, that's the thing too. I don't know how experienced techs are with using albums, so it's a matter of, the next question is, are we going to have, you know, a more detailed run through where there's going to be training involved for those guys using it in the back. So, okay. Well, it looks like we have some internal stuff on our end that we need to discuss further and rolling this out and communicating it
Okay.
with stores. You guys already did your part. You built it. It's there. We're just not using it, is what I conclude. So. Any questions for us, Jacob?
No, I'm good here. Is there any questions you guys have for me?
Dan, you got anything?
Not at this point.
Okay, perfect.
If we need screenshots, samples, if we need all that, does Dan need to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can contact us for that as well. You can also, like I said, it's fully live on there, and this video will be saved to YouTube for you to be able to review back on if you need to see any of the inspections I showed or how to create the inspections. That has screenshots in it as well now.
Okay. Dan, did you mention there's like something about they're having a similar program to All Data?
Yeah, that's what Sir Jason Douglas said when I went down to Southgate.
I thought.
So we offer Motor, which Motor has a full tech data package where you're able to go in and repair, and that's what I was showing you before with the Motor parts lookup. That'll show you the how much for that repair as well as how to do that repair. As well, and it'll quickly
Okay.
pull in like how to do that and how much hours and how much for the part pricing that should be.
Okay. All right. Is that live in everybody's system, or is that like an a la carte? You gotta pay for that separately.
That's an a la carte, you have to pay for it. We can get anyone on a trial for it, and currently we have all of our systems on trial for it through the end of February, but it is a la carte. That is something the shop would have to sign up for. But that is, I believe that's $99 a month, which if you compare to All Data, I think All Data starts at $180. So it's definitely worth it in my opinion.
Okay.
And if the individual shops wanted to contact you to have you do the training for their staff and their techs, what would that be? What would that entail?
Usually if they have like a question or
Time-wise
something,
and
they can call us
cost-wise.
and we can set that up. If it's after hours, there's always a cost, but usually if it's just like a couple questions on the program, there's no cost for that.
Now, Motor, or what's it called?
Yeah, motor.
It is
That's
motor.
really
Motor.
bad. Paper repair.
That
kit.
pulls. That data pulls OEM information.
Yes.
Okay.
And that shows repair too, right?
Correct. For component procedures, lookup and everything there. And like I said, that's free. That's currently live on everyone's system through the end of February. That's something we've been kind of messaging people and telling shops individually that that's something anyone is able to use free through February, and afterwards it's just $99 a month compared to all that is $180. And you can look up like DTCs, wiring diagrams, the whole nine.
Okay. Have stores given you feedback on their thoughts on your version of All Data?
Everyone's liking it so far. As far as albums, a lot of the albums customers I've been talking to, they're kind of hard to get away from that like all data identifix. But I have people who are using it like it, and it is a big cost saver.
probably have to survey stores to
Yeah.
get some feedback. Alright. I think I'm all set. Anything else, Dan?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Jacob. Well, appreciate your time.
And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Okay, perfect. Look forward to
Thank
talking.
you.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Bye.
Bye.